This week, for the first time ever, California sold a backyard, a granny flat, the first ever in the state of California.
AI is now writing listings, running searches, even doing loans. So are they coming for my agents next?
And on Homes Gone Wild, in an alleyway, we have a garage door rolling up and nobody expecting to see.
This is Realty Talk. Let's get into it.
All right, welcome back to your favorite podcast, Realty Talk. And we have so many great things to talk about. But before we start, even with our introductions, we have not formally introduced the man that helps this whole show and make it all happen. I don't know if he's going to be on the camera today, but his name is Junior.
Junior, I think
and
you
it's
just come around
birthday.
And give a little wave. It is your birthday today. Happy birthday.
We won't send him through this punishment, but if anybody is interested in guessing his age, we did just guess that, and we were pretty dang close.
Yeah, we did good.
But in all honesty, the whole show we wouldn't even have this if it wasn't for Junior.
Wouldn't
So we love having you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
So to my left, we have the queen of the closing table. It's not your birthday.
It is not my birthday, no.
And I am Paul Fix-It-All. We're so excited. We have a jammed up list of things to talk about today. Before we do that, any news in the world of Innovate or Bye-Bye we need to touch on?
Oh, man. We have some really exciting news for Innovate this week. So I still am not allowed to say, but we are about to have our biggest off-market closing ever.
Yeah.
Since inception of Innovate.
It's awesome.
That we're super excited about. And then I believe, is this our second biggest closing? I think it's our second biggest closing, which did actually close today. And I am allowed to share. It is record-breaking in Corona Del Mar.
Yeah, it has to be the second biggest one.
Yeah. I know we had
another
one off market that we weren't allowed to talk about really.
Yeah.
Which I feel like was right around there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sierra DeVille did a record-breaking sale in Corona Del Mar off the 400 block. So, basically where it's located, it is the biggest sale that has happened in that community. So we're super excited to celebrate that.
That's awesome.
And really excited that same developer has another property that we listed for him as well, since we did a record-breaking sale for him on this one, and hoping to do the same on that one as well.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Some huge news.
Yeah.
That we aren't supposed to talk about, but we didn't really talk about it. We didn't give any details, but soon we'll be able to.
By next week, we'll be able to, I know we've been saying this a lot, but we'll be able to finally brag about something that has been in the works for quite some time. That's a huge, huge deal.
Yeah, we do get a fair number of local listeners, right? And to your point, Corona Del Mar is it's a beautiful area. If you're not familiar, if you live in another state, it's this tiny little pocket of Orange County. And it's coastal, but you're elevated above the ocean a little bit. Mm-hmm. And there's this section called the Flower Streets. They all kind of run east and west. They're somewhat narrow. The 400 block means we're 4 blocks off of the ocean. And so to get the number that we got, 4 blocks off the ocean, or not we, but the collective, the deal got. To get that number was really exciting to see.
Yeah,
it's a huge, huge number. So.
Yeah, and last week we were sorry about the U.S. no longer in the running.
Belgium just absolutely beat the living crap out of us. We looked so bad. Did you watch any of the game?
Yeah, I watched the whole game.
Oh my goodness, we looked so terrible.
Yeah.
And now Belgium's out.
Yeah, and by Spain of all countries. So I think Spain's going all the way. Just saying.
Do you?
I hope so. Yeah.
Spain plays France, I think, this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is going to be a tough one.
Yeah. We'll see
I don't
what
want to root
happens.
against Spain.
You
I
can't.
like both teams,
Yeah.
but I did bet on France
Placed
to
some
win.
bets.
I bet on France to win 3 months before the World Cup started.
Oh, okay.
So
Then that's all right. We'll let that slide. You
yes.
didn't know it was going to be.
But maybe I'll
Spain,
cash that bet out now ahead of the game. I can on the app that I'm using.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Also, last thing on that, when we were at a really beautiful open house on a buy house property on Friday, and last minute family came in right at the end. I think the open house was closed, and they were all in Belgium shirts, and they had just come from the game. And surprisingly, they were in great spirits. Like they were still really happy, even though their team lost. So.
I think that's one of the best parts of the World Cup is even when you lose this late in the World Cup, you have to be proud that your team made it that far because it's really complicated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was so much American media like, man, we're so terrible and everything. And I think going into the World Cup, if you said that we made it out of the group stage, people would have been excited.
Yeah.
That's where I was scratching my head. I'm like, guys, what are we arguing about here? Like, this is a good thing that they made it this far.
Yeah.
It would have been awesome if they went further, but.
Yeah. We'll take it.
Yes. Okay, so diving in, unless there's any
rates.
other updates.
No, we got to talk about interest rates because, why wouldn't we?
30-year, by the way, if you, look, we make interest rates interesting, okay? There are other podcasts that talk interest rates and they do not make it interesting. We at least make it interesting.
Yeah.
But my daughter's favorite show is Frozen. She's a big Elsa fan.
Okay.
And rates have been frozen at 6.5% for like months.
Yeah, it's very true. So, no big moves. July 15th and the Fed meeting on July 28th, 29th, we're maybe anticipating something could happen. But honestly, I mean, no one is counting rates on dropping at all.
Inflation's still 4%.
Yeah.
We've talked about it in the past, but the Fed funds rate isn't necessarily how a 30-year fixed mortgage is priced. Mm-hmm. The 30-year fixed mortgage is priced from the 10-year Treasury rate. And the 10-year Treasury rate is not necessarily directly correlated to the Fed funds rate. And so even if going into late July, the Fed cuts rates, which I don't think they're going to do because inflation is still very high, and we still have a war going on.
Yeah.
If they did, that doesn't necessarily mean that the 10-year is going to come down, which is what would really need to happen for the 30-year fixed mortgage to come down. So to me, it looks like we still have a fair bit of time in the future of 6% mortgages or maybe slightly higher.
And it means that buyers are having more leverage than they've had in a really long time. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, but even like getting buy downs. I really feel that buy downs are the answer because buyers have more leverage. They're able to ask for a seller credit, which then they can use for a rate buy down, whether that's temporary or not. But I mean, one of the big stats is that 18% of California households can afford the median home right now.
Median's like $950-ish.
$915, I believe.
Yeah.
But there are so many creative ways to get into properties. So instead of using your buyer leverage to maybe just go for a cheaper price or, get a bunch of repairs, use that leverage to get a credit towards your buy down interest rate and save hundreds of dollars a month on your interest rate and make that payment affordable.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that data point's pretty wild. So only 20% or just shy of 20% of people that live in California can afford to own a home here. And that's a mixture of things. It's the price of the home. It's the interest rate on the mortgage. It's the cost of living. When gas is sixes, California's just an expensive place to live.
Yeah. I feel like I remember a few months back on the podcast when we were like, wait, the war's over. But it's not over. It's still, things are still happening and gas is still expensive. Groceries are still expensive.
Very much so.
Life is expensive. It's like shockingly expensive and especially in California.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, moral of the story is we think interest rates are going to be in the sixes for some time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
But, as we've said many times, it doesn't mean don't buy. It means, you have a unique time where, because inventory is still low, as we've talked about. So we're in kind of this, there's opportunity for buyers at this time to, do something a little bit different, to get in if they can make it happen by being creative, whatever that means. We're seeing a lot of co-signers. We're, seeing different things to get buyers into properties. And in the long run, I was talking about it with somebody last week where it's like, I don't remember if we already talked about this on the podcast, but basically I had a client that was like, it's just too expensive right now. That was like in 2021. And that house has gone up by, $400,000 since then. So it's like, the cheapest the house is ever going to be is right now. So in California, at least, and
that's what I was going to ask. In SoCal,
yeah,
it's the buy time.
Yeah,
hit the buy button.
Exactly.
So one other question before we move on to the next segment: if a home has to sell below the justifiable comp, so the comparables in that market, what does that mean for that specific market?
Yeah, it means that based on today's market, this is where that home value is. And I think, we've seen that a couple times where it's like all the comps support that we're going to be somewhere else. And then we don't land there. And we go back and question, like, okay, did we make a bad buy? Did we make, the wrong decision? But ultimately, it's, and I say we, when I say we, it's you. But ultimately, we have to look at where the market is today, and interest rates do affect that, and demand does affect it, and all the other things we talked about. So, it unfortunately, in those situations, there are some hits that sellers are taking.
Yeah.
And hopefully, it's just that kind of like inflated equity that they thought was there, and it's not like really, really hurting. But it is what it is. It actually means that the market is saying that that is what the home is actually worth. And I know I've talked about it before, but I am such a firm believer of the market. If you put a great product out that looks amazing, and, you've got the marketing behind it, you've got the negotiation with the agents. If you are coming in consistently at a lower price, like that's probably what the market told you what the home is going to sell for.
Yeah.
And there are tricks and there are ways to get that number up, and, tactics and skills that agents have that can factor in. But ultimately, the market speaks for itself.
Yeah. Yeah. The market's only going to do what it's going to do, right?
Yeah.
You can't force someone to buy.
Yeah.
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 So it's a complicated equation of supply and demand.
Right.
And if buyer demand is waning, then generally supply corrects itself. We don't think supply is going to correct itself in this market because we still have a lack of supply. We're 5 million units short as a nation.
Right.
And a huge number of those people with houses in that supply have really, really low mortgages, so they're not ever going to be inspired to sell.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what we think is creating that logjam, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we still have people that are locked in at a 3% interest rate. So,
they actually can't afford to go sell, because they sell, even if they go and buy something comparable, their interest payment doubles and their mortgage payment is up. They may not be able to actually qualify for that mortgage.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there are really interesting options out there with seller carry for buyers and things like that. But again, those sellers, they have to go somewhere. So, it has to make sense for them too.
This is a great segue into our second segment. Maybe that person buys a granny flat. So in the state of California, we just had our first sale of an ADU in a backyard. So this is SB 1033, which states that a it is a state mandate, or it's a state approval. The local municipalities have to agree to let this happen, but it states that an end consumer. So you have to be this. This can't be an investment deal. So you have to be. It's your permanent residence. You could carve up and basically get a second APN on your lot. Build a small ADU, additional dwelling unit, and then go and sell that unit to another person. So this is basically splitting your lot, getting a completely separate, APN, and property taxes are going to be all different and everything. And you're going to go and build that thing out and you're going to sell it. That means that you're probably either sharing a driveway. If your home has a detached garage, where the driveway kind of goes down the side, like that's going to be where the ADU is. So this doesn't work on every lot.
Right.
But there are a lot of lots that it does work on. And, since that bill passed, there have been all sorts of, conversations. So this was in 2023 that it actually happened. There are startups out there and companies out there that are finding lots where this could work. And they're doing JV partnerships with owners. Some owners are just doing it on their own. But the first sale actually physically closed and recorded in San Jose. So this was a 749 square foot, 2-bed, 1-bath unit right near downtown. That separate deed sold for $530,000.
Okay. I mean, I have to say, we have a property that we were just discussing that's like not much larger than that. Similar, 2-bed, 1-bath, and it's $980,000, almost $1 million. So, I mean, 530 530 feels like a steal in San Jose. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think of these things as like a developer, right? So, or as a real estate investor, I could probably build something ground up right now, in the $225 to $275 a square foot range. So, getting the dirt prepped, getting horizontals put in, so your sewer lines and your water and electrical and all that kind of stuff, and then actually building the structure in that $250 to $275 range. Now, that's not going to be like nice high-end finishes, but I think I could build it for that. So that would indicate at 750 square feet that your all-in cost would be like $150,000 to $175,000.
Yeah.
You already own the dirt.
Yeah.
So there's a fair bit of margin there.
This seems like a great idea. What are the cons here? How do you feel about it?
I don't know. It's kind of hard. I mean, you don't.
Is this something you actually agree with in California that has been put out there to maybe help affordability a little bit?
I'm not sure. I mean, I guess the way that I think about things is like when somebody owns their dirt, why shouldn't they have the capacity to go and do that?
Yeah.
Where it gets a little tricky is like, maybe I don't want to have a random person that I don't know, that I've never met, living in my backyard and sharing that space. So I'd have to it'd have to be a very unique situation where I can block it off and have a fence and do all that kind of stuff. But the other side of that token is like when you buy a duplex, or when you live in one side of a duplex, you don't know your neighbor. So, I don't know. I mean, I think it's really tricky. I don't think that a state or municipality should be able to say, no, this can't happen. But I think it will probably change the type of neighborhoods. Right. So if there's a tract of homes that were 2,500 square feet on 10,000 square foot lots, and every one of the neighbors did this, then, foot traffic, car traffic, everything's going to double. Yeah. And the person that can afford a $530,000 house is maybe slightly different than the person that can afford the primary house that's $1.2 million or $1.3 million. Yeah. And so what does that do to the neighborhood? Maybe it makes it awesome. Are these older people buying smaller houses that are downsizing? Are these first-time home buyers? Like, who are these people? And I think a lot of that probably depends on the actual neighborhood. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know that I can just say, yes, I agree, or no, I don't. I think it's probably situation specific. Yeah. But I think there's probably a ton of cities in California where it would absolutely be a terrible idea. Like, I mean, there are some cities where, getting in and out of the city now and parking is already a problem, and you go and jam more people in it. That sounds terrible. Like think about more traffic, not less.
Yeah. I think,
That sounds bad.
Yeah. I think for me, I feel like if it makes sense for the situation, I think it's like what you said. It's not really, I guess there may need to be restrictions if it was a situation where like everyone is doing it and then it really changes, like you said, traffic and just, the, not necessarily the demographic, but the feel of the neighborhood. I mean, even just like shops and everything around. Like, I think that there's a lot of planning that goes into these communities before they're built, but at the same time, I think as you said, if you own the land, it really should be your call, and if it makes sense, I think in California, not everyone here has the luxury of having a large lot where they can even necessarily do this, at least, in parts of, Southern California where we are. So there are very few areas that this would even be able to, make sense. So unless they're literally just like, that is the backyard now. It is the ADU and that's it. So, and then, you got to make those decisions. But it's also like, you as the seller, what's interesting is like you don't really get to choose who's moving in there.
No.
So you have to know that if you're doing this and you are in close quarters and there's not a lot of options for people to come in and out, and maybe they're going to be just like, you're going to be crossing paths quite a bit. You have to know, like, you don't get to choose who buys this house.
And they're not a tenant. You can't kick them out.
No.
Once they buy it, it's theirs.
So does it make more sense then to rent then possibly? And build something like this?
This is why it's they're all such tricky questions for me, because at the end of the day, I am not excited about government telling people they can or can't do stuff. I believe, like, not going down the political rabbit hole, but I believe that we should have a lot less government, not a lot more. I'm not on the left or the right. I think both sides are crazy. And so to me, it's like if you own a piece of real estate, you should get the capacity to make a decision to do what you want to do with that real estate within general rule, right? Like you can't go build a, hair salon or something like that. If it's not commercial, then you shouldn't be able to do commercial. But I think the type of person that's doing this, it would likely change the outcome. Like I think about my parents, for example. They don't need the income to go and do something like that. So they would just never even look at adding an ADU to rent or to sell. It's just not something that's important to them.
Yeah.
I think of friends that just bought their first home that are barely surviving. And if they had the capacity to go and build an ADU and capture some income on a monthly basis or just a big slug of cash to lower their basis, they would be all over it. Right. And it would be a great thing for them.
Yeah.
So I think it's just different for everybody.
It's
and
case
then,
by case. Yeah.
Yeah. And then every neighborhood is just a little different. But to hit your question directly, like if you could build something for $150,000 and you could collect $2,000 or $3,000 a month in rent, why would you ever sell it?
Yeah.
Like, because then you're in control of who is there. And, you're like at north of a 10 cap or whatever.
Right.
What the state did that I think is really interesting is that they don't allow investors to do this.
Yeah.
So I can't go buy a single family residence that has a detached garage today, carve the garage off and go and sell them both. It has to be your primary residence.
Interesting. Why do you think they did that?
Because it would have been like a gold rush. I mean, investors would have just gobbled everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm inherently really conservative. Like if we've built ADUs before. If I buy something and I'm adding an ADU, I underwrite my ADUs per square foot value at 50% of my primary residence value. So if I think something is $1,000 a foot once it's fully renovated, then I underwrite my ADU to like $400 or $500 a foot. So half of the value, per footage.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see where that goes.
Yes. Which is also a great segue into our next segment, which is what does an agent's future look like with AI coming down the pipe? So right now, AI is already writing listings, running searches for buyers. There's even a brokerage or a loan office or a loan brokerage that is AI enabled, meaning AI is handling 90 or 100% of the funding of a loan. So 82% of agents now are writing their listings with AI.
Yeah.
Zillow's incorporated that into the Buy Hub. So what does that look like? I mean, what you run one of the fastest growing brokerages with 200 agents in there, setting records in local markets. Should they be worried? Should agents be worried? Should you or should we be worried?
Yeah.
Like, what does AI look like in that world?
For me, I think there are aspects of real estate that have already been replaced, as we said. Like, I mean, if you are an agent and you are writing your own description still and like, going, I mean, I had a whole process. It would take me an hour to just write that first description because you're looking at the community, it's all the things. So you're going through each photo. So there are aspects of this that are really amazing and that we've really embraced, especially on the marketing side. We've talked about it before. Our director of marketing has 10 AI assistants himself that are just running all day. And so I think I look at it from the view that this is actually really exciting. When I go out and when I would go out and show a buyer, I don't do it often now, but when I did, I would let them, we would look at the houses and I would say, hey, I'm going to do a full on comparison of every single property we saw, give you a value breakdown. I would go home and spend like sometimes 4 hours just doing deep dives and putting together these perfectly crafted emails that were just highlighting different features and different homes. And now that email would take me 10 minutes, you know? So I am...
And arguably maybe more detailed, right?
Exactly. I mean, there are things that I could have missed.
Yeah,
that my eyes didn't see. So I think there are so many aspects of this that is so excited. And what I know in my soul, because I am still involved in transactions. And for example, we had a transaction over the weekend that, buyers had some fears, some questions, and they were saying that they were ready to back out of the deal.
Yeah.
And I, got on the phone with those buyers and I was able to, calm them down and have a conversation about what the process was going to look like. And the funny thing about it is the buyers, what fired them up was that they plugged everything into ChatGPT and it spit out this madness. And, when the seller reviews this ChatGPT madness, the seller is going to say, hey, this doesn't look right. No, I actually don't agree to these terms. And that concern the buyer. So that is a situation where ChatGPT, and this I think happens all the time. People are plugging in their inspection reports. And I do have to say, as much as I love using it, because I use it all the time and it's great and time saving, but as much as many of the positives that come from it, I oftentimes feel like it says what I want to hear. It's like, yeah, Suzanne, you are right. This says X, Y, Z. And then I'll give it data to be like, well, what if I'm wrong? Like, what if it, oh, well, you know what? Thank you for pointing that out. And then it'll kind of change the perspective a bit. Yeah. So I think it's really important that, there has to be that human element and you just can't take it away in a real estate transaction. I think you can get really, really close, but ultimately there are just things that don't necessarily apply or make sense, and that it really needs to be refined by an expert in the business. Not to say that, down the line, there's not going to be an expert chat agent, because I'm sure there will be, but I really feel like that human interaction, the negotiation skills, those are things that are just not part of the conversation right now. And to me, those are the most important parts of a transaction. I as I've said, I feel market really dictates where price is. everyone's kind of doing this a similar something with marketing and photos and all the things, using their AI tools. But what really sets a good transaction apart from the next is what the agent does in the meantime, during that escrow. That makes all the difference. And I think, we both know that because we're involved in transactions all the time. But to the average consumer out there, if you think you can use an AI agent, you cannot. You just cannot.
Yeah, I think, my perspective is probably slightly different, but pretty dang similar. I think there are some industries that will be replaced with AI. I mean, there are certain jobs or certain things or tasks or tools, right? Like research, I know people that are launching a new product and they'll go out and hire a research firm to understand a market. I mean, that to me is like AI 101, right? But from my perspective, and I want to go just to some data again real quick, in the state of California, there are 500,000 real estate agents, right? So let's just say that you take the bottom 20%. Bottom 20% meaning agents that haven't been productive. So they haven't sold houses. AI is going to absolutely crush them. Not that AI is going to handle a transaction.
Right.
What I think AI is going to do is it's going to make the top 20% of real estate agents way better at their job.
Right.
Not that it's going to force them out. In fact, I don't think it ever will. What I think it will do is it will divide, good versus great. So an agent that's currently great is going to be able to take responsibilities and time and challenges, things that are just kind of cumbersome.
Right.
They're going to take it off their plate and use a system to help automate that, which is going to make them better at the stuff they're, killer at, which is what drives them to be a top 20% agent. And they're going to take deals away from the bottom 20% of agents that have an opportunity. So I think it's going to be one of those industries where it actually speeds people up that are in the top, and it creates a broader divide. But those people at the top have to be willing to, to adopt it and understand it.
Yeah, and I can see that because I think, we all know some top real estate agents that we've even said, like, how are they top real estate agents? But it's because they're really, really strong in a skill set, but not all skill sets.
No.
Which is why sometimes we're very surprised. And I think, being able to use tools to your advantage to, make up for those things that maybe they're not great at, I could see where, again, it just comes down to whether they're willing to, embrace that or not.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, anything else on AI, interest rates, or granny flats, SB 1033?
Nope, I think moving along. I'm excited for Homes Gone Wild.
Okay, let's dive in.
I want to know what's in the garage.
I haven't read it yet. So,
okay.
In this week's section of Homes Gone Wild, I can't wait to read. This is submitted by, I love this piece, by the way.
I'm really glad.
This is why we love Junior.
Yeah.
Submitted by Coach Quackenbush. So this is summer of 2012 in Columbus, Ohio. I'm showing a beautiful 1920s brick home in one of those up-and-coming neighborhoods to a referral client, a pastor and his young family. Great people, the kind who genuinely wanted to plant roots in an area that needed a little love and set themselves up smart down the road. The inside shows perfectly, so we head out back to the brand new detached 2-car garage. I'm going to pause there. If it was in California, it could be a granny flat. I open the man door, let the wife in, husband follows, and we hit the shiny new garage door opener. Works like a charm. The big door rolls up and gives us a full unobstructed view of the alley behind the house. And there in broad daylight is a homeless couple in the middle of a very private moment.
No.
The guy's pants around his ankles that they clearly did not expect an audience for. They scrambled to pull it together and scatter back towards the corner liquor store 2 blocks down. Now, you'd think that kills the deal, right? Nope. The pastor and his family bought the house.
Wow.
They grew their family there, called it home in about 6 years, and sold it roughly 3 times what they paid. Holy Toledo.
I have to give it to the pastor for just being like, you know what? This is the circle of life. This is what you do. This is.
I was kind of confused when she said the man door.
Yeah,
so you walk in the man door. So they must be walking in like not the garage roll-up door, but the door that you use to go in.
Is that what people call? Is that called a man door?
I guess I don't know. I feel like that's kind of weird.
Yeah, that was a strange
we're gonna have to look that up.
Maybe in Columbus, that is.
But there's an alleyway, and then the odds of that happening, like, can you imagine the real estate agent? Like, okay, I have this referral for you. It's a pastor. Go show him this house. And everything's going smooth. And that rolls. And then the fact that they're homeless people. Oh, my God.
Yeah. But I have to say, Coach Quackenbush, man, agent of the year.
So close to the
still
deal.
selling that property. Good for him.
He probably.
Or her.
I mean, they probably went down one of two angles. Like, man, what an opportunity to like help the homeless community. Like you buy this as a pastor and you clean up the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Or they went down like the forgiveness route. You know,
Yeah,
what would Jesus do? You can't judge them.
No.
That would be my angle. I would go down one of the two.
Yeah. The thing is that I feel like we got to go back to our real estate stories as well, because I think even in our own arsenal, like we have some crazy, I mean, that one, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
But there are things that are seen that we still haven't had the goat story.
I gotta hear that one.
That's the best story yet, where there was an animal that stole the listing agreement from the agent's hands. So.
An animal ate your homework. The dog ate my homework. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's no way.
But it's that's the one thing that I can say about real estate. Like, how do you incorporate AI into that? Like, this is
how do you sell that?
Yeah.
The AI chatbot would be like,
absolutely. Yeah, they wouldn't know what to do. But Coach Quackenbush, no.
Yeah, he would have said, call the police.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's amazing.
Full circle.
So, for you, you've sold a lot of houses. What's the craziest thing you've seen behind a door or a garage door in a showing?
I don't know if I have seen any nudity for sure, but it's more like things that I've heard. And I mean, I think that the overall image of like agents walking through houses are usually like one extreme to the other. And you just never know what you're going to get in there. And I think, the interesting ones are when you're showing a home and the seller's there. Because ideally, the seller should never be there when you're walking in. And that's when things get interesting for sure. So I don't know if I have any specific gems to pull from that, but it's always a weird dynamic.
I don't have any that are funny, but last week I toured a property and there's a like big window, very clear window.
Yeah.
And I'm directionally very astute. Like I know where I'm at all places.
Yeah.
But I walk into this house and I'm like, where's the window? Because I was so confused. I'm like, there was a window right there on the outside. So I would like walk back outside and I look, I'm like, yeah, there's a window. And I'd walk around this all the way to the other side of the home. And I'm like in this room and I'm like, but there's no window. So whoever built this house put a window and put a mirror behind the window to make it look like there was something in there. But then it was just a closet. So on the inside of the closet, there was nothing. It was just drywall.
Oh, wow.
So they'd like drywalled over a window.
Oh, that's so weird.
But it took me like 30 minutes to figure out because it was like on the other side of the house. It was just really weird.
That's really strange. But you just reminded me that we recently had a sighting of when someone that works in the companies here went to one of our vacant land lots. And behind him, there was a big window. You triggered my memory, and some things happening behind the window.
No way.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard this story.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we should bring him on to tell it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So
I can't wait.
You never know.
Okay, off air, you got to tell me everything.
Yeah.
I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. I think on that note.
I gotta hear that story.
Okay.
All right. If you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. Give us a review on Spotify. And please don't be hesitant to share your home's gone wild story. Well done, Mr. Quackenbush. Or Captain Quackenbush. Sorry. Excuse me. All right. We'll see you next week.
See ya.